Lake Placid 3 is a television film which I believe was made for Sci-Fi, but I could be mistaken on that one, and this is the third installment in the Lake Placid franchise. One thing I will say about Lake Placid 3 immediately is that it just takes a step, just a little tiny baby step in the CGI of the crocodiles from Lake Placid 2, which Lake Placid 2 by far, out of the first three, is the worst CGI effects I've seen on those crocodiles. Man, oh man. So at least this one takes a small step, if anything. It's not that big of a bar to cross, but this one does take a little bit more effort on the CGI and special effects on those killer crocodiles, and obviously there's a lot more in this one too. We get a lot of mention again with the Bickermans. The Bickerman family, Sadie Bickerman especially, seems to be a theme that flows through these films a lot up to this one so far. And the story mainly focuses on the niece and nephew of, the nephew, sorry, of Sadie Bickerman, who ended up being eaten by crocs in Lake Placid 2. And we have him and his wife kind of repossessing the cabin and taking over, kind of inheriting it, kind of thing. But starting off right away, we have this couple. They're kind of hitchhiking on the back of this truck, and they basically just tell the driver to leave them right there because they just want to get off, and you know they're kind of sick of traveling by that point. So they go to this beach, and right away you get full frontal nudity, tits, vagina, ass, everything, right on screen. It's glorious. And the girl goes skinny dipping, and you get this really funny sex scene right on the shore, like on the beach where the water's coming up, and there's a crocodile attack on Buddy's legs, and he starts screaming and yelling, and of course the girl thinks it's all about the foreplay and the he's screaming in pleasure kind of thing. She's like, oh baby, yeah, now you're finally being all vocal. And then the friggin' crocodile drags his legs and drags him into the water, and like his face right underneath her crotch, and she's like, now yeah baby, that's what I'm talking about. While meanwhile he's being eaten by a crocodile. It's one of the funniest openings, one of the funniest sex scenes, and perfect B-moviness that you can possibly get in a B-movie creature feature. And then we're introduced to the family, like I said. Now, this couple, Susan, yeah, and Nathan, they have a son named Connor. And at this cabin, Connor ends up discovering like little crocodiles, and basically has absolutely no problem feeding them. This kid is absolutely fearless. We do flash forward to 2 years later pretty quick, and this couple basically is pretty much living at the cabin full time, and they have like everything kind of set up as a home kind of thing. This kid has grown a little bit, and he's been feeding these crocodiles for well over 2 years, and they're pretty big now. And again, this kid is absolutely fearless because he's feeding them steak and meat and whatnot, and he has absolutely no fear of these animals whatsoever. I find that this film, the way it's shot, I know it's a creature feature, I know it's a monster movie, but the way it's shot, it has like slasher vibes. Just the way the camera's pointed, and the scenes, the way they're developed, and the way the film plays out, it plays out like a slasher movie would, even though it's a complete creature feature and has nothing to do with slashers whatsoever. It has that vibe every once in a while. There's a scene where this kid wants to make some friends, and he goes up to some kids at school, and he's like, hey guys, you want to see something cool? Meaning the crocodiles. And the kids are like, hey, you want to see something cool? Just making fun of him, like high-fiving each other. I'm like, you guys are a bunch of idiots. But anyways, he goes back to feed the crocs. There's a scene where he actually robs a corner store of like basically their entire meat counter, because these crocodiles are just getting hungrier and hungrier, and they're requiring more food, obviously. So he obviously gets caught with that, and it's a pretty funny scene. Nathan, the husband, they play him off fairly goofy as the film goes on. He's a zoologist, and he's basically researching elk in the area, But he runs us into this group of kids who, by the way, are the biggest throwaway kids I've ever seen. Outside of one of the friends, the female friends named Ellie, who plays into the story a little bit throughout the film, the rest of the kids are completely throwaway. They're literally there just to be killed. You got the pervert kid who's Charlie is his name. He's just there to stare at girls' bathing suits and panties and asses. And then you've got like this girl named Tara who again throwaway character. There's a point where she thinks she's flashing somebody, but she ends up flashing an elk right before the elk gets mauled by a crocodile, and then she dies pretty much right away. All these characters are literally just there to die. But regardless, Nathan meets up with them, and Nathan, like I said, they play him off goofy, but they're all discovering animal heads, especially like elk heads and stuff like that, and no bodies, just the heads themselves. And man, I have to mention the dialogue in this film too, because there is one-liners like crazy. One of them being when when he's wondering like what could possibly be eating animals and leaving their heads behind. He's like, yeah, it's probably a cougar, and the kids are like, cougar, and he's like, yeah, a cougar named Reba, and that's when we're introduced to Reba. And Reba is my favorite character in this film for sure. She is stereotypical badass. She's like gung ho on guns. She's an animal killer to a T. She does not give a shit what she kills. She just will kill for sport. There's even a time where she mentions killing a giraffe in captivity when she was working at a zoo, because she's like, when the hell do you ever get to kill a giraffe? She just apparently killed this giraffe for absolutely no reason in captivity, just to say that she killed and shot a giraffe, or shot and killed a giraffe. And then she's like, yeah, and that's when they moved me down to like souvenir shop when she was one of the zookeepers. They moved her down to souvenir shop. I wonder why. Like, I'm surprised she even kept her job to begin with. But there's a shit ton of lines. There's one time where the one girl's like, isn't the head, like, why would they leave behind the head? Isn't the head the best part? And then one guy's like, that's what I keep trying to tell you, but you don't want to go for it. Zing. There's one time where they find a dead body, and one guy's like, oh, it's probably a shark. Yeah, because sharks come on land now and just maul bodies and leave them by the trees. Man, B-movie at its finest. Like, I fucking love B-movies for a reason. There's a scene too involving Reba when we're introduced to her at the bar. She drops like this $10 bill or $20 bill on the floor or something like that, and she asks one of the male bartenders to pick it up. And she's like, hey, can you pick that up for me? And when he does, she just literally grabs his ass and does not give a shit. She's like, oh, thank you, sweetie. It'd be funny to see those roles reversed if it was a guy dropping a bill and asking one of the female servers to pick it up and grabbing her ass, how long he would be remaining in the bar after that. I wonder how well that would go. But like I said, Reba is such a badass, and she's easily the best character and caricature in this film for sure. There's a scene where a gas station attendant, he calls the sheriff, because everybody in this town makes fun of the sheriff for good reason, I would say. Calls the sheriff to the gas station because he claims that he saw a crocodile in the back of the station. And the sheriff gets there, he's all worried, and he's like, yeah, I think I saw him in the back. And here's this guy, comes out with this like cardboard crocodile helmet thing, mask thing with teeth and everything, and it's painted green. It looks ridiculous. He's like, it's the funniest fucking roar I've ever heard. And the sheriff's just like, what the fuck? And then he like literally punches the guy out with the mask and everything, and he's like, don't mess with me. Don't waste my time. Of course, everybody in the town is making fun of the sheriff, because here's the thing though, which is hilarious, and the most hilarious part of the film, I think, is that this kid, for 2 years, has been feeding like 4 crocodiles, okay? And this sheriff claims that he ransacked that entire river, or lake, Black Lake I think it's called, up and down, top to bottom, and sideways, and has not found a single trace of anything bigger than a trout, as he claims, for 2 years. But here's this kid raising crocodiles without the sheriff knowing, without any of the townspeople knowing, and without his parents knowing. This like 10-year-old 12-year-old kid. But the sheriff couldn't find a single crocodile in 2 years. Makes no sense. Obviously, this guy, played by Michael Ironside too. Michael Ironside is he's one of those actors that shows up randomly, and you'll hear his name and you'll see him pop up in random films. And every time he does, he delivers everything he's got. He always puts like he always dedicates himself to every role he's in, and he plays the sheriff in this film, and he's really funny in it. But it's just hilarious how he is always claiming like he's so dedicated to the town, and you know, takes his job so seriously, and he's determined, and he's like guaranteed that there's no crocodiles anywhere in this lake. Yet this kid under everybody's nose is raising four of them without nobody noticing. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's this character named Vika. She's one of the comic reliefs. She has like a Russian or Ukrainian or Romanian accent or something like that, and she babysits Connor, the little kid, the kid. And she has like massive one-liners too. She'll go to the Connor. She's like, "You smell like dead goats. Go take a bath." And when she's watching like soap opera, she's like, "He has been kissing Jessica before commercial break," because whatever's going on in the soap opera is like some guy cheating and some like sappy bullshit. And, like the things she says, she's like she's the another caricature, like she's another trope of character in the film. But of course, she does not beat Reba, who is my personal favorite in this film for sure. So outside of this kid raising the crocodiles and the sheriff claiming that he saw none, and all these dead animals showing up, dead animal heads showing up everywhere, you got the side plot, which I mentioned, Ellie being part of this group of friends that are complete throwaway outside of Ellie. This guy named Brett decides to meet Reba at this bar where we're introduced to Reba. And he goes up to Reba and he wants her to help him search this lake, because this lake is extremely dangerous and she knows it best, because he's looking for a girl. And apparently this girl is in peril. And we find out he's talking about Ellie. He's looking for Ellie. But we learn throughout, like later on in the film, that what he wants is to find Ellie, because Ellie ran off with this guy named Aaron, because Aaron is a douchebag and told Ellie that Brett is cheating on her because Brett and Ellie were dating. And when Ellie found out that Brett is cheating on her, even though he wasn't, because Aaron lied about it, she runs off with Aaron and all his friends and this group of friends to this beach escape to kind of forget about Brett. And then Brett hires Reba to go help him find Ellie so he can tell Ellie that Aaron is a lying piece of shit. He hires this freaking animal hunter just for that. Story's ridiculous. It's such a stupid story. That plot, anyway, that whole plot point is so stupid. It's like, it's so stalkerish. It's so unnecessary. It's so B-movie. It's so B-movie banter. Ellie's hot though. But damn, like you hire a freaking, animal hunting expert to go find a girl. Oh my gosh, I love it. And then yeah, his character just like will refuse to, like, no matter how much danger he's in, he just refuses to go anywhere without Ellie. The whole third act, the first two acts are kind of grounded. They're grounded enough to like make a coherent story, but the third act just goes absolutely bonkers. That's where you need to just turn your brain off completely, because nothing makes any logical sense. For some reason, these crocodiles will completely eat one person and then just like scratch the arm of another. Some of them will like have a hard time getting to a person, but then will have no problem getting to the other person like 5 minutes later. Like there's a scene where Nathan is in a car and then the crocodile's trying to get him at him through the side window and can't get at him, and Nathan's just like this and the crocodile's like right over here. And then less than 10 minutes later, the sheriff is in his car and the entire car is dragged into the lake by this crocodile, and then the crocodile comes through the side window and just easily grabs the sheriff like with one bite and drags him right out and just chomps the shit out of him. One character ends up putting a boat paddle in the crocodile's mouth, and the boat paddle holds the croc's mouth open, like like a like a wooden boat paddle, because a wooden boat paddle can hold like a fucking 20-plus-foot crocodile's mouth open, apparently. Just shit like that. The CGI again goes up through the roof during that scene, during the third act, because it's all basically crocodiles attacking a cabin, essentially. The cabin, Sadie's cabin, the one that Nathan and Susan inherited. There's a scene where Susan ends up having to use a chainsaw, and she doesn't know how to turn the chainsaw on, and then Connor has to teach her how to turn it on. He's just like, press the red button, and she does, and it turns on, and she's like, how the hell do you know how to use a chainsaw? And he's like, you always press the red button. It's always the red button. And then there's this whole, like, again, slow battle with a chainsaw, all like Sharknado style, where this chick is fighting this crocodile that apparently she can run faster than the fucking thing, even though throughout the entire film these crocodiles are lightning speed. Logic just out the window. Still fun though, like, you know, if it, you got to know what you're getting into, and you got to enjoy these films if you're going to have any fun with them. Otherwise, you're just going to find them stupid and a waste of time. There's just something so glorious about B films that they're just, how ridiculous they can get and how ridiculous they can be is, it's just awesome. Our climax is at a grocery store, the same grocery store, corner store, or whatever that kid was stealing the meat from, and you get this whole crocodile battle over there, with Reba obviously going all badass and stabbing the shit out of the crocodile's head while like half her leg is in the mouth or something like that, and then by the end they end up at like somewhere like in front of the corner store in this gas station or something like that, where Connor throws the lighter and then ends up annihilating all the crocs, and then for the final scene you have Nathan. He's talking to this group of tourists, and he claims that the crocodile of Black Lake is now officially extinct, which we obviously know that's not true because we have more films coming. And then yeah, credits roll. So Lake Placid 3 is such a pure B movie entry in this series, and I would say a step up from the second one in entertainment and I guess quality. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not a huge bar to cross. It's not a big big improvement, but it is it's an improvement nonetheless. I like this one better than the second one, and I mean, obviously the first one is still the best and has the highest budget, but this one, it's pretty okay. It's pretty okay. Like, Reba alone makes the film, and she drops so many one-liners, and she's always badass. Like, there's a scene where she even punches out Brett for talking about fucking Ellie so much and like wasting her time completely over some chick. And when he like absolutely refuses to go anywhere, like without her, she just punches him out and all that stuff. Yeah, there's a point where he risks his own life. He holds Nathan at gunpoint. He's like, I'm going to go rescue Ellie whether anybody likes it or not. And then he takes his gun, takes his boat, or Reba's boat, sorry, and goes on the lake again where all these crocodiles are fucking infesting, and goes off to save Ellie, which he does, but he suffers his own demise in the process. So I guess good for Brett. I don't know. That's Lake Placid 3. It's a lot of fun if you like B films, and it'll give you some entertainment. There's a lot going on plot-wise. There's a lot of stories going on at the same time. And it definitely, it's a dense film. It balances a lot, I would say, but it's still good fun, and it's still B movie at heart. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to find it in Lake Placid 3. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews, and there will be more. I'm going to be finishing off the Lake Placid franchise, obviously, and there's lots of reviews on the channel already, so if you want to subscribe, check out my other ones, and stay tuned for more. Until then, take care, and cheers.